Alright guys, today I'm going to demonstrate how we turn on and off our Oxy-Acetylene cutting torch. Alright, I remember my first time in the shop, I wasn't exactly sure of what I was doing. I was just kind of turning things on. I was getting frustrated because I couldn't open the valves right. So I've decided today that I'm going to demonstrate on how you turn this on and off yourself, so it'll be a lot clearer for those of you who are trying to do this in your own shop or at home. So when we begin, our most important thing to remember is that we have two gauges here when we're talking about our cylinders. One will be your working pressure, which is what comes through the hose, and the other will be the tank pressure, which is just how much air you have. So what we're gonna have today that we're focusing on will be our working pressure gauge. All right. So when we turn this on, we just crack it, and then we turn it a couple good times just to make sure it's open. Now, when I was referring back to the working pressure gauge, what we'll do is we'll turn this here, and we'll just tighten it. This working pressure gauge you'll want to look at, and turn this until it says 30, or between 20 and 40, somewhere in there. Now, we've got our oxygen turned on, which is this taller one. We'll move over here to our acetylene, which will be the shorter cylinder. Once again, we'll just crack it, and then open it a good bit. Then we'll turn to our working pressure gauge, which is this one down here, and just tighten until we get to about 8. Alright, so now that we've got our cylinders turned on, we're going to want to take our torch body here, and we're going to grab our striker. Now, the most important for this next step is to remember that as soon as you turn on your acetylene, which is our first step here, we're going to strike it. We don't want this gas getting out into the shop, and we want to make sure that we're away from the cylinders. So, once again, we turn on our acetylene. And we start it. Now, when you do your acetylene, you're going to see some black smoke maybe if you don't turn it on enough. We're going to just turn it until that black smoke is gone. Then, we turn on our oxygen, which you can know by the green hose here. We just turn it on a good bit. Open it up pretty well. Now you have this one on top. This is our fine tuning. We'll turn this one until we get a nice little blue cone right around the torch tip. And that's your cutting flame. Now, our next step will be turning off the acetylene torch. We'll begin with our acetylene and just turn it off. Get rid of the flame. Turn off our fine tuning. Turn off our oxygen. Now we have the torch itself off. Now what you'll do is you'll set this down, and once again, we'll turn off our acetylene first. We'll shut our acetylene cylinder. We're going to go back to what we tightened earlier, and we're just going to loosen it. Get rid of that pressure off of the tank. Now, we're going to move to our oxygen. Once again, we simply just close it and loosen our pressure. Alright, so now we got our cylinders off. We're going to move to our next step. Our next step will be to take your torch here, and we're going to open everything. When we do this, what we're doing is we're releasing all the air from the hose itself. This air, if you put it in, has a tendency to explode if the hose gets damaged and there's a flame starter. So we do not want that. When we loosen our hoses, when we open our valves to let all this air out, we'll make sure that we close it tightly, and then we'll wrap our torch like this, just to make sure that no one trips on the cord, and that everything is stored away. Now, we know how. We've turned it on, we've turned it off, and we've drained our hose. When doing this, we want to make sure that all long hair is tied back, and that we step away from cylinders, away from anything flammable. It is an open flame that you're working with. So I've demonstrated today on how you turn it off, how you turn it on, and how you drain your hoses. I hope this demonstration helped. I hope that we can use this in future shops, and I hope you've learned something today.